I'm going to do them right now. So that's where you can go and you're like, where is that? What did she write down? Internet messed up, or I didn't write it down. So that's where it will be. So here we go. And I have my random name generator hooked up here for you guys. So I'm just going to hold it up in front of the screen because there's too many too many screens up, too many windows. I need to meet with you, Amber. Uh-oh. Okay. So here's a random name generator. I'll show you. Let's see, random. Here it goes. Beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop, boop. So Cassidy, you don't have to do anything right now, but that's how it works. So what I want you to do right now is do those 2 warm-up questions that you see right there. And I'm gonna give about 2 minutes and then we'll start, and I'm gonna call on 2 random people to answer them. So go ahead and do those right now, please. All right. I don't know if that was 2 minutes or not, but we're gonna move on here. So the first one, review. This is translations. Write a rule that translates a figure up 5 units and left 3 units. So random name generator. Here we go. Elliot, do we have an answer for this one? Elliot, do you read? All right, I'm going to pick another person. Omar, do you have an answer for number 1? Unmute and share, please. So we're going to use the arrow notation. X comma Y yields something. All right, pick somebody else. Jake, look at your cool hair on your monster. Jake, what do you think?
It'd be -3 and then +5.
Okay, so when you say that, I just need the letters. So you mean X minus 3?
X prime.
No, X minus 3.
Oh.
Right. You said minus 3. I'm saying just say the X part. Yeah.
Then Y plus 5.
Perfect. All right, good job. So that's going to be the rule for that translation. All right, now for the rule there, they're asking us to figure out if we have an image point of 4, 8. Okay, remember, image means that's the second one, right? That's not what happened first. So what's the pre-image? Well, that would be something had x minus 3 happen to it, and y plus 5, and that gave us 4, 8. Okay, so random person to answer the question. Hannah, What'd you get, Hannah, for number 2? Hannah, come in. Oh, your mic's not working? Okay. Yeah, just type it. Just give me the ordered pair there, Hannah. All right, so this one, you have to work kind of backwards. So you can't just do 4 minus 3. You have to think the opposite way. So something had 3 subtracted from it and it gives you 4. So my advice for these would be to write it like I'm doing it, do a little algebra action there, because it's going to be easier than trying to do it in your head. I can't even do this in my head. It's confusing. So I would take what's happening here, right? X minus 3 is going to give you 4. And then the y plus 5 is going to give you 8 at the end. So I'm going to set each one of these equal to the image point, because that way it will give me what it was before for the pre-image, okay? So my ordered pair is actually going to be 7, 3. And remember, you can check your work on these, okay? So if our rule is x minus, if we do minus 3 and we add 5 to the y, we should end up with 4, 8. And you can check that. 7 minus 3 is 4. And 3 plus 5 will give you that 8. Okay, so that's how you can check your work. Okay, that one's kind of hard, but it's a good question. Takes a little thought, and it's good practice. So we'll keep practicing some of those. All right, I'm going to move on to reflections part 2. So on Friday, we reflected across the y-axis and we reflected across the x-axis. Today, we're going to reflect across 2 new lines that you may or may not be familiar with. The first line, and y equals x, if you remember back to your slope-intercept days, y equals mx plus b. Okay, the m is slope. I don't know why m stands for slope, but it does. And the b was y-intercept. Okay, so when you think about the line y equals x, well, what's the slope of that line? Well, what's the number next to the x? It's a 1. We don't write it, but that's what's there. Okay, so the slope of that line is 1. And the y-intercept, well, it's not there, but it technically would be plus 0. Okay, so that makes our y-intercept at 0, 0. So y equals x is a line that goes through 0, 0, that has a slope of 1. Okay, so I'm going to, on my graph, I'm going to start with my y-intercept at 0, 0. And then I'm going to go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, because that's my slope. And I'm going to graph the line. Nope, try that again. All right, got that half. All right, so it should look something like that. That is y equals x. It has a positive, it's going to slope up and to the right, like you're climbing the mountain, getting higher up. And here we go, we're going to reflect this. So What I like to do is just kind of look at the picture and think about, remember that reflection line is your mirror, right? So however far away a point is from that, the other side, it will be the same distance. So maybe this weekend you walk up to the mirror and then walk back. Okay, same idea here. Now this is a little tricky because you got these diagonals where things are kind of half away. You'll see what I mean in a second. Okay, so point B is about half of a diagonal away from the line of reflection. So my other point is going to be half away, and I'm going to call that B prime. Now I'm going to show you another way in a second to figure out these points, but this is one way you can do it when you're looking at it and visually do it. C is going to be one full diagonal away from the line of reflection, y equals x. So C prime will be one more diagonal on the opposite side. And then A is 1, 2.5 diagonals. Is going to be 2.5 the other direction. So A prime. Okay, once I have those 3 points, I can draw my shape. And there I have my reflected image. Okay, so if you notice, it looks like it mirrors the other image. The line of reflection is that diagonal line. So let's look at the ordered pairs for a second. And you're going to notice something kind of cool. All right, so A is at 1,6. A prime is at, can't fit both. Prime is at 6,1. Interesting. B is at 5,6. B prime is at 6,5. And C is at 2,4, and C prime is at 4,2. Excuse me. So, looking at those numbers, we're going to write a rule based on what's going on there. So, I'm guessing you've already guessed what's happening here, right? The x value became the y value, as you can see here. And the y value became the x value. So basically what we're going to say is when you're reflecting points across the line y equals x, is you're going to have x comma y will give you, what do you think it's going to be? So they flip places, so it would be y comma x. Okay, now we're going to do 2 examples. I'm going to call on one person to do the first example, and then I'll call on somebody for the second one. So be ready. All right, so we're reflecting across the line y equals x. So we know the rule is just they switch places basically. So 1,3 will become 3,1. Okay. Your turn. Do the next one. All right, random name generator. Here we go. Ben. What'd you get?
My computer's acting up. Can you give me a second?
Sure, we'll come back. I'll pick another person. Beep, 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 beep. Izzy, what'd you get?
Are you saying for the second one?
Yep, for -4, 2.
I got 2, -4.
Perfect. 2, -4, right? They just switch spots. All right. All right, let's move on now. We're going to reflect across a different line. Y equals -x. All right, So, this is also going to have a slope, but it's going to have a slope of -1, right? So when we talk about negative x, that slope, which is that number next to the x, is going to be -1. So our slope is -1, and our y-intercept is still going to be the same. So the y-intercept is still at 0, 0. So this line isn't going to slope up and to the right. It's got a negative slope, so it's like downhill. So it's going to slope down. So I'm going to graph the y-intercept at 0, 0. And then I'm going to do a slope of -1. So I go down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1. And then I'm going to draw a line of reflection. And then I'm going to draw it the other way, hopefully. Straight. That's pretty good. All right, there's my line of reflection. If you need to use a ruler or something to draw these, if you're on paper, it might help. Or if you're on your surface, just the faster you draw it actually helps not be so wiggly. All right, now I'm going to count again. I'm going to look how far away from this line of reflection that it is. So 1, I don't know why I just drew a loopy thing. Let's just go straight. 1, 2, 3, 3.5 diagonals. The other way to there is going to be A prime. C, I'm going to count again, 1, 2, 3 diagonals. So it should be 3 diagonals on the other side, and that will give me C prime. And B, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 diagonals, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, that's not right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5, half, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, when I counted, I actually had it right there, and I knew that wasn't right because I could see that A and B made a straight line, so I had to recount. So it happens to the best of us. All right, I'm going to draw my image, my triangle. There's my reflected image. I have now reflected over the line y equals -x. And that's what, look at those ordered pairs and see what's happening. So it's going to be slightly different than what happened with the other. All right, A was at 1, 6. Now A is at -6, -1. B was at 5, 6. B prime is now at -6, -5. And C was at 2, 4. Now C prime is at -4. We're out of time. If you want to hang on just one second, I'll do one example. -2. All right. Let me get this rule here. So we have X, Y. Just so excited. I just kept yields -y, -x. You need to know that, okay? That's the rule. You flip them, but you also make them opposite, okay? So here we're going to have 1, 3 becomes -3, -1. And -4, 2, remember they become opposite, not negative, okay? So -4 and 2 switch places, but you're going to -2, +4, okay? All right, your homework is in that section as well. It's Unit 1 06 homework, so work on those questions. There's a QR code that you can click on to watch videos, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. Bye.